When you avoid risks, what are you really avoiding? Is it riskier to avoid risk? That's what this episode is about. You're listening to Pure Light, where we explore how you can believe in yourself and be happy with who you are. My name is Ailey. I'm a coach, writer, and yoga and meditation teacher. This is episode 124. So I have a Trello board with a bunch of quotes in it. And when I was looking for a quote to use in the last episode, I searched through it and I searched for risk. And two quotes came up. There was the one from Seth Godin that I ended up using in that episode, which was, "It's riskier to avoid risk than it is to take it on." And then there was one from Paulo Coelho, "Be brave, take risks. Nothing can substitute experience." And the combination of seeing those two together made me stop and think, and it's been on my mind. So I wanted to talk about that today. So when you try to avoid risk, you're inherently trying to create certainty for yourself. You're trying to minimize uncertainty. And at the same time, you're trying to prevent something at some level. So there's some experience that you don't want to have. So there's something that you're trying to avoid. And there's two parts to that. There's the external part, which is, not wanting the potential result, which could be failure, rejection, loss, criticism, something like that. So whatever that outcome that we perceive to be negative may be. And then there's also the internal piece. So the pain, the discomfort, and whatever emotions come along with that potential negative outcome. So Brené Brown has said, "We cannot selectively numb emotions. When we numb the painful ones, we also numb the positive emotions." And I think that it's also true that you can't selectively prevent or avoid emotions either. Because when you choose not to take a risk in order to avoid an experience you don't want to have, at the same time, you're preventing yourself from having the upside. So having that potential experience of fulfillment or excitement or connection or whatever that may be. So you're avoiding the lows and the highs, which I guess in a way is a form of numbing proactively because you're trying to prevent it from even happening. And you're also preventing yourself from building your future. In life, we're all given windows of opportunities, and it's up to us to decide for ourselves whether or not we want to go through them, whether we want to take those opportunities and take those risks. And when you don't take them, things basically stay the same. So you effectively try to avoid change and avoid the experience that you don't want to have. But when you take them, you embrace uncertainty. You become the driving force behind the changes in your life. You act with courage because you're choosing to take a risk. And you also make yourself vulnerable because of that risk, which means that there's a level of acceptance of all possible outcomes. And I mean that both internally and externally, so emotionally and in terms of the external results. Part of walking into that new opportunity is accepting the discomfort that comes along with that in that moment of making the decision and taking that action. So that nervous energy, that feeling of groundlessness. And then there's also accepting the full spectrum of emotions that may come as a result of whatever the outcome is. So the highs or the lows, depending on how things turn out. When you avoid risk, you prevent yourself from experiencing the full spectrum of emotions, potentially. Because when you prevent yourself from having the low, you also prevent yourself from having the high. So is it riskier to avoid risk? Only you can answer that question for yourself. If you enjoyed this, please share it with others. Thanks so much for listening. Until next time, may you be guided by your light.